What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Lesser Athletes. My name is Chadwell, and today, like always, another insane way too early video for you here on the channel. Today is my way too early SummerSlam 2026 predictions. I do these way too early videos way too early, as you can probably tell. I guess we are 9 months away from SummerSlam, so this actually works as a video to say 9 months away. Anyways, I'm going to predict my way too early SummerSlam predictions. Anything can change on a dime. I think we all thought Seth Rollins was going to be at WrestleMania, but he got injured, so stuff like that can change instantly. Yeah. So, way too early predictions. Let's get it started because you like those faster videos. We have 11 matches. It was 10. I added one last second. Let's get started. Starting off here, we have to start off with, let me just show Gunther. And I don't know what Gunther's path is going to be. I don't know if he's going to, will likely retire John Cena. Does he win the Royal Rumble and have a title? Does he have the IC title? Does he go against Brock Lesnar there? Today, in this video, he goes to Brock Lesnar here. And here's why. Brock Lesnar will be one of, I'm going to guess, the main events or one of the big people in this SummerSlam card because Minnesota is where we're at with Brock Lesnar, where he's from. And I have to be honest with you, I could see a Brock Lesnar retirement happening here. But at the same case and same time, they could wait till WrestleMania 43 for all the retirements because Saudi money pays crazy. I just think that this is a dream match, and if we don't get it at WrestleMania, I think it makes sense to put here at SummerSlam. I'm going to keep predicting these matches here for SummerSlam and WrestleMania until we get it because, to be honest with you, this has to happen at some point, and it's one of those shows. I had a troublesome time on debating on who would go against who for something like this. And I don't know, in my opinion though, I don't know for sure, but to me, what does Roman Reigns do? I have no idea. Does he go against Seth Rollins at a SummerSlam instead of a WrestleMania? Does something else happen? I don't know. And I feel like Seth Rollins has other stuff going on. Roman Reigns doesn't make sense. Is it WrestleMania 43? Well, I think that's going to be Roman and Rock. Is it WrestleMania 44? I think so, maybe, but that's so long away. We'll have to see, but I do believe Roman Reigns will be on this card some way or form, maybe against Punk. Now thinking Punk would make a lot of sense, but I don't think they go that route. I went the Jacob Fatu route because I think Jacob Fatu will go on Monday Night Raw soon. We'll go with Roman Reigns, and I think this is a match that we personally really want to see, and I personally want to see as well. I think it just makes sense to have this match, and I think it makes a lot of sense to have it either at WrestleMania or a SummerSlam. So I'm going to throw down this match for now. This was the match I added on last second. I kept thinking on the women's side, dang, I like these predictions, but what does this person do? And I didn't know what they could do. That is Stephanie Vaquer. I don't know what she does. She doesn't have a championship in this scenario. What I think they could go around is using Stephanie Vaquer to boost somebody else on the U.S. title side, aka Julia. Now, it's not a championship match, but I could see them trying to boost Julia and boosting this feud that they've had in the past. And let me say this. It was Stephanie and Julia at NXT Roadblock with Stephanie winning. Now, Julia then turned heel, and Julia then, to be honest with you, never had that one-on-one match with Stephanie. She went against her, but never had that one-on-one match. This would probably be a fan service to have that one-on-one match finally with one's heel, one's babyface. And to me, makes sense. You let Julia win too to really boost Julia. I think that makes total amount of sense. Now it's time to talk about champions. We're going to go women first. We're going to talk about the mid-cards. With the women going first are just at least the U.S. title. Mid-cards, then we're going to talk about our championship. So, starting off, I have a dream match. Not a dream match, just a really good match I think is going to happen at WrestleMania. I have Tiffany Stratton here. And you might say, well, didn't you just say mid-cards? I did. I have her with the U.S. title. Now, here's why. I think WrestleMania I'm predicting right now is Julia and Tiffany Stratton. I think Tiffany Stratton is going to have a match here for sure in Minnesota. Now, I thought championship so she could win in Minnesota in front of people, but then I thought maybe she's retaining or going against a talent that could really get boosted as a heel. So you'll see that in a second. But I do have Tiffany going against Julia. Who does she go against, though? I think at some point she's going to get called up soon, and she is undeniable in my opinion, and I think needs to be pushed right away, and that is Blake Monroe. And I think Blake Monroe would work really well against a Tiffany Stratton. I think Blake Monroe fits well as a heel persona, and I know these are both girls that are just like the glamour and the, Tiffy time. I think using both their personalities with the heel type of persona that Blake Monroe has, I would love these two to go against in a match, and I think Blake Monroe winning U.S. title would be pretty nice. It would also boost her as a heel. Up next is the IC title for the women's side. Now, I debated on this one because I originally thought that AJ Lee and Becky Lynch would go against each other sooner rather than later, but it looks like they might push this all the way to WrestleMania. And if they do, that means I still think AJ Lee has the IC title here and will drop it here. So, who does she drop it against? We have AJ Lee. We have the IC title. I think personally, this is what I thought was going to happen at WrestleMania. I think it's going to be Bayley, and I think it'll be AJ Lee versus Bayley, and Bayley will turn full on heel to win this title. And the reason why I think that is because she has a split personality. So going against a fan favorite like AJ Lee could be really great in using that persona to eventually beat an AJ Lee and win that IC title. And the heel persona wins because that's how she has to do to win the title. Both of my men's mid cards were kind of hard to predict. I feel fairly confident on this one, though, and that is Obafemi having the U.S. title. I think he could have the IC title. I'm not even joking. That's another great possibility as well. But Obafemi, to me, with the U.S. title in an Ilya Dragunov Open Challenge makes sense. So I'm going to go this route. Now, I want to protect Obafemi if he would lose the title, and I just am thinking about what's a dream match, in my opinion. That is Carmelo Hayes against an Obafemi. But by this time, Trick Williams should be on the main roster. I'm going to predict this as the WrestleMania match for now. I think this makes sense for the WrestleMania match. The SummerSlam match. But I've had this prediction as the WrestleMania match before. I'm going to predict it here, and maybe this is where Carmelo Hayes wins the U.S. title because Trick Williams costing an Obafemi, or something crazy where basically Obafemi doesn't get pinned, but he loses the title still. I could see that happening. The IC title could fully change coming up here soon, to be honest with you. Because if John Cena does win the IC title, and it is John Cena with the IC title in his final match going against a Gunther, I believe in my heart it's going to be really hard for me personally to not have this person dethroning Gunther at WrestleMania. That person is Sheamus. And I think Sheamus with the IC title being the Grand Slam going against Gunther makes sense. Sheamus really wanted it to happen to go against Gunther. I could still see it happening. Sheamus then would be the Grand Slam. He goes here. Who does he go against? Obafemi could be a good one to predict, but I'm going a different route. I think, to be honest with you, Ilya Dragunov feels like a Raw superstar to me. I could see a way where he goes to the U.S. title, wins or loses it, goes to Raw in the future, and we get a banger of Sheamus versus Ilya Dragunov for the IC title. I just think that Sheamus could retain here, but I just thought of somebody who could give a banger that's a young star that could potentially win too. So Sheamus, Ilya. Looking at the women's side for the main championships. Now, currently Jade has the champion and Stephanie Vaquer have the champion. I have them both losing at WrestleMania. I think, Jade doesn't lose at WrestleMania. I need to say that. I have them both not having championships here. That's what I kind of meant to say. Jade Cargill, to me, will win at WrestleMania against a Bianca Belair, but then later on in the year, Bianca will win the title. And I think Bianca will have this title, and it will set up in a way where maybe she wins because of something else. I don't know, but I do believe that ultimately the setup or the return of someone will set up a triple threat with Jade Cargill and Naomi. And we have the triple threat between the three happening at SummerSlam. They could wait till WrestleMania 43, but to be honest with you, I do believe a Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill versus Naomi could make a lot of sense. And it could happen at WrestleMania because honestly, but I don't think they might drag the Bianca and Jade Cargill match all the way there. We'll see on that. But I just see a Bianca Belair dethroning a Jade Cargill, and then they don't run it back for the final time. They throw in Naomi there and finally have the triple threat. This one I'm a little skeptical about because I've noticed WWE not wanting to push, younger talent. So I have for the world title, Liv Morgan defeating Stephanie Vaquera at WrestleMania for the title. Who does she go against and who makes sense in my opinion? Well, when I'm looking at the landscape of things, to me, what could happen is Roxanne Perez is the one to go against Liv Morgan, because let's be honest here, Roxanne Perez is middle of this Judgment Day story. Two young stars, and a great way if you want to put a title on her and really push her as a star is give Roxanne that match against Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez wins. You can have her then SummerSlam Raquel Rodriguez maybe win the world or the Money in the Bank, and then in a rematch against Liv and Roxanne you have Raquel cash in and Raquel's the one that comes out on top. I just think that there's a good possibility that this is a match. I think it should be for the world title, personally. Looking at the men's side of things, I first am going to have a boring one. I do think Cody Rhodes loses his title sometime during WrestleMania or before. And if he does, I thought it would be to a Drew McIntyre. Well, at WrestleMania, I think it will be a fatal four-way or triple threat. And I think we'll have another title change there. And that winner will be Randy Orton. Now, I have Randy Orton here, but the reason why is because I think we'll finally actually get the actual one-on-one against those two, and maybe a street fight and maybe a steel cage match. Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. And we just have some absolutely insane, destructive match between the two with their futures on the line, whatever it could be, with Randy Orton as the heel going against a Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam, and Cody on the chase again, not the champion. That's kind of how I see it. I think a Randy Orton does make sense as a champion as well. And I think I've noticed this, SummerSlams kind of have repeat matches from WrestleMania. So I could see this kind of being like a hint match from the past. And finally, which I think is more the night 2 main event, more than night 1, to be completely honest with you, that is the world title. And I think at WrestleMania, Braun Breaker will win the world title from CM Punk. Now, here's the thing. There's different ways they can go about this. They can either have at WrestleMania or at SummerSlam, they could have maybe Braun Breaker win the title. They could have Braun Breaker go against just one person. It's hard for me to say they'll go against the one person. Now, I did originally put the one person down, and that is Seth Rollins, because I think this makes total sense to have this. Seth Rollins comes back as a babyface, goes against Braun Breaker. But, unless CM Punk goes after Cody Rhodes, and that's the rest of the SummerSlam match, and Cody Rhodes has the title, to me, I don't see a world where CM Punk is not in this trying to get his title back. So that's why I have Braun Breaker versus Seth Rollins for CM Punk. Seth absolutely hates CM Punk. Seth hates Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker hates the both of them, especially Seth Rollins, but especially Punk. Won the title from him. Punk lost the title to Braun Breaker, but he hates Seth Rollins. This would be a triple threat that makes sense to me, and I kind of see it happening if you're trying to throw in a Punk in there while also having Seth versus Braun. But Braun versus Seth, I feel like, is just a one-on-one match that needs to happen in the future. So I don't know if it happens here instead. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.